everyone. Hi, thanks for joining me. Now come in and sit down and get comfortable because I've got a really good one for you today. Today I'm going to do a comparison between some of my favourite high-end products, and I'm going to put them on half of my face, and I'm going to compare them with some of my also favourite drugstore products on the other side of my face. Now, I think that these things are really, really similar. I'm not going to say they're exact dupes of each other, although maybe one or two of them are. I'll tell you which ones I think are as we're going along. But I'm always really interested to see other people do this type of video, because sometimes we think we have to spend a lot of money, don't we, to get good quality makeup, and that's just not the case. It really isn't. And more these days, the drugstore are coming out with some absolutely phenomenal products, and so much so you really can't tell the difference between, you know, which side of your face cost a lot of money and which didn't. So I'm going to put it to the test today, and I'm going to stop rambling on and get on with it. So let's get the hairband in and let's make a start. Now, as for primer, as you know, if you've seen me before, I don't use a typical primer, but what I am going to do today, because these products I think are really, really similar, I'm going to use a glowy primer, and it's these. And I'm sure you've seen these before. If you've seen other videos like this, you might even have seen me talk about these before. But I've got the Charlotte Tilbury, all the writing's worn off the bottle as it does with this, but it's the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless Filter, and I'm going to put this up against the e.l.f. Halo Glow Liquid Filter. Okay, I'm going to put the shades and everything that I've used down in the description box below so that you can go and have a look there if you're interested. So I'm going to put the high-end products on the left side of my face and the drugstore alternatives on the right side of my face, so that you can just see for yourself and compare. Now, with this sort of glowy primer, I don't put it everywhere. I just want to put it on the high points of my face. So the cheekbone, actually I'm just going to put it on the cheekbone because we're doing a half and half, aren't we? I was going to put a little bit down my nose then, and I thought no. So I'm going to put that one just along the cheekbone on here, and I'm just going to blend it in with my fingers. There we go. So as you can see, that's left me with a really nice glowy base to go over the top with foundation. Same again on the other cheek with the e.l.f. It's a very similar sort of applicator as well, this big doe foot applicator. They both have that. I think this e.l.f. one might be in a lighter shade than the Charlotte Tilbury, but the finish that you get on your face is very similar. If I'm being completely honest, I actually prefer the e.l.f. product. I think I get a nicer, smoother finish on my skin. So yeah, as you can see, again, I've got a nice, glowy, juicy cheekbone now to go in with my foundation on. So both sides of my face at the moment are looking quite similar. Now then, foundations. I've got two here that I think are really, really similar. And when I used the drugstore version, it really reminded me of the high-end one. Now, the drugstore version that I'm going to use is the e.l.f. Soft Glam Foundation, and I'm going to put that on this side of my face. And the high-end equivalent of this, in my opinion, is Armani Luminous Silk. I think these are really, really similar. I'm not going to say exact dupes, but very similar. Okay, so let's start with the Armani, and I'm going to put a couple of drops. Oh, I need to make room for the other one. A couple of drops on the back of my hand there. That's the Armani, and I'm going to use my IT Cosmetics Heavenly Looks complexion brush to blend this into the left half of my face. There we go. And I've got to be really careful now that I don't go over onto the right side of my face by accident. I could do with drawing a line down the middle, couldn't I? I need a bit more actually. So let me just do another pump. And on the left side of my forehead and the left side of my nose. There. So that's a lovely medium coverage, sort of a satiny natural finish. It's meant to be quite luminous and a bit glowy. I love this foundation for those days when I don't want anything too matte and too full coverage, but I want something that's going to go on, have a lovely smoothing finish and last a decent length of time through the day as well. Let me just check close up in the mirror. So yeah, it's evened out my redness. It hasn't settled into my fine lines. It hasn't settled into my pores. If you compare it with the other side, you can just see that that has beautifully smoothed everything out. Right, so I'm going to change brush now. I'm going to use the e.l.f. version of the same brush. This is e.l.f.'s Complexion Duo brush. And I'm going to use the e.l.f. foundation. Going on to a different place on the back of my hand now. This comes in a squeezy tube. So obviously the packaging's very different. I think we'd expect that, wouldn't we? But in terms of the actual product itself, the product inside, the stuff that actually goes on your face that people see, I think there's not a lot of difference. There, as you can see, even the colour. Even the colour is really similar, isn't it? What is this? This is 20 Light Cool, and the Armani one is in the shade number 4, this one. I also wear 4.5 in the Armani too sometimes, because the shades are very similar. Let's go up here as well, just getting it on the right side of my face. Lovely. Again, it's a lovely, smooth, medium coverage, natural satiny finish, buildable texture. I mean, can you see how similar both sides of my face are looking right now? Just have a close-up look in my mirror. A little bit more of the e.l.f. just on that blemish there. Lovely. Right, there we go, foundation's on. Now, moving on to concealer. Now, the concealers that I've chosen to use today, I wouldn't say are dupes of each other, but again, I mean, I get a very, very similar look when I use them on my face, and they are Estée Lauder Double Wear, the new Double Wear concealer from Estée Lauder in the shade 2C, and the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer in Light Peach. So I'm going to put these on now as well and show you how similar these can look too. And I'm going to put them on with the concealer ends of these brushes. So let's dip into the Estée Lauder one. Nice big doe foot applicator. I did a separate video on this when it first came out if you're interested, just to see what my initial thoughts on it were. I do really like it. So let's take this end of the brush and just blend that in that hollow inner corner area of my right eye and down the marionette line just there. Just to bring a bit of light to the centre of my face. Always a good thing to do, isn't it, as you're getting older? Okay. There we go. That's blended in really, really nicely and really smoothly. So let's go in with the e.l.f. Hydrating Camo Concealer on the other side. Again, it's a different applicator. I mean, it's still quite a large doe foot applicator, but once it's on your face, you know, put that there and a bit there in similar places. And the concealer end of the e.l.f. brush I'm going to use now, just to give that a nice blend in the same places around my inner corner and around that line there. Blend, blend, blend. Okay. What do you think so far? If I'm being really honest, I think I'm preferring this side, especially the concealer. I think that's brought more of a brightness to my face than this side. But that's just at this stage, just for now, okay? Let's see how it turns out when I've put a few more products on. But just to show you for now, this is where we're at, okay? So, powder is next. And I've got two powders here that have been compared with each other before. I think it was Jessica Braun on her channel years ago. She discovered that these two were very, very similar to each other. And I think she did call them dupes. And I would tend to agree. So I've got the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish powder. It's very reflective, isn't it? And I'm going to put that up against the number 7 Airbrush Away Finishing Powder. So I've got this one in the shade number 2, medium, and this one in the shade translucent. So I'm going to start with the Charlotte Tilbury one. Let me just show you them side by side. So the colours are slightly different. The number 7 one is a slightly lighter shade. This is translucent. This is number 2, medium. But in terms of the finish and the texture and how they feel and how they apply, very similar. Okay, so let me take the Charlotte Tilbury one on my Morphe R3 brush. On there, like that. Tap off the excess. And I'm just going to go where I would normally go. Oh, I went on there a little bit. Let's just ignore that and go down the left side of my face. It's so hard, isn't it? Because we're in the habit of just going all over the place, aren't we? Oh my goodness. I need a bell or an alarm to ring if I get close to the middle of my face. Ah. All right, so let's do this all over the left side, Rebecca. Right, there we are. So yeah, lovely powder, nice and smooth, very finely milled, goes on beautifully. Really, really like that powder. And I also really like the number 7 one. Now we're going to put this one all over the right side of my face. Maybe I'll do a little dab on the left just to make it fair and even. Okay, so let's go into this powder, tapping off the excess. And go down the middle, just for fairness, a little dab over there like I did earlier. There we go. That's evened everything up again. And on the forehead and down here, just to set all of those products that we've just put on. Lovely. I mean, I think you can tell that this one is a little bit lighter in colour. I think you can tell. But once all the rest of the products are on and over the top, it just kind of blends and you don't really notice that. You'll see in a minute. All right, so that's all of the base, the complexion products are on now. So we've got the high end and we've got the drugstore. And I think so far it's looking pretty similar. What do you think? Okay, now on to bronzer. And again, I've got one of my longest used bronzers. I mean, this became a favourite for me back in, I think, 2010 it was. And it's very famous. It's the Nars Laguna. This has been my favourite for years and years and years. I've had several compacts of this. I do tend to go through them quite quickly. And in Laguna, it's this sort of golden bronze shade. And I think that that colour is very similar to the L'Oreal Bronze to Paradise in the shade Back to Bronze. Let me show you them next to each other. So again, different packaging, obviously, but look at the colour of these two. Very, very similar. I'll just do a little swatch on the back of my hand so that you can see. So that's the Nars. That's the Nars. Can you see that? No, I put that over the foundation. Let me do it on the other side. So that's better, isn't it? So that's the Nars. Yeah. And the L'Oreal, I'll do the different finger. The L'Oreal, I'll put there. Hope you can see that. I don't know if that's showing up very well, but they're very, very similar, aren't they? In tone and in finish, I think they are. So I'm going to go in on the left with the Nars and I'm going to use my Hourglass snake brush to blend that in. Okay, tap off any excess and I'm just going to go over the cheekbone area, just underneath the cheekbone area as well. Side of the nose, ooh, being careful not to get it in the middle, side of the nose, on the cheek, up into the temple, and a little bit onto the forehead as well up there. Yeah, the high points and down there a little bit. There we go. So that's the Nars. I hope you can see that okay. Right. Now, on the other side, I'm going to put the L'Oreal, and I'm going to use quite a similar brush as well, I feel, and it's the Real Techniques 400 brush. This is actually what they call their blush brush, but I love using this for bronzer. I think it's just right for bronzer. Just the way that the bristles are, it's not too dense, you know, you get that lovely diffused effect because it's such a large fluffy brush. So I'm going to go into this L'Oreal bronzer now. About the same amount, tap off the excess and just run this under the cheekbone, up into the temple again. Okay, I'm feeling like I have to pick up a bit more of this one, but that's okay because once it's on, very similar. And up onto the forehead. Okay, and down there. What do you think so far? Good, innit? Right, now then, let's move on to blush. Now, these blushes, again, I might have mentioned them before. I think I did when I did my Sephora collection video. So you know the Sephora collection, it's their own brand products and the price points tend to be lower than the big brands. So for the high end, I'm going to put my Nars Orgasm Edge blush on this side. And on the drugstore side, I've got the Sephora own brand colourful blush. And this is in the shade Sweet on You. Okay, so let me show you them next to each other. They're both matte finishes. They say they're matte finishes, but I think they both have a little bit of life in them. As you can see, very similar colours. It's that lovely peachy pink. And with the Nars, the original Orgasm had like a gold shift running through it. It had quite a bit of shimmer in it. But this one, the Orgasm Edge, does not have that. It's more of a matte, smooth blush, which I love. And the Sephora one, lovely, again, peachy pink shade. So I'm going to go into the Nars one with this MAC slanted blush brush and just put that across the cheekbone there. Beautiful, lovely, lovely colour. Really like that. You don't need to put too much on either, but I love my blush. Okay, so gonna go in with the Sephora one now on another slanted blush brush. This was just a cheap one I got from Primark ages ago, but I think it's quite similar to that one. They've got that similar slanted end. So let's go into this one now and just apply it onto the right side. Lovely, beautiful, beautiful colour. And although it's a matte, as I said, it does have a little bit of a sheen to it. It's not a completely flat matte, is it? I think that's really, really nice and very similar. I've not told you anything about the prices yet, have I? The Nars blush, this one, where is it on my list? Let me look for it on my list. It's £38, okay? And the Sephora one is £11.17. So that's quite a big difference, isn't it? And I will list the prices as well down in the description box so that you can see each product. And I'll put the prices as they are today as I'm filming this. Obviously they might change in the future, but just so that you can compare and see how much money you could potentially save if you go for these products rather than these products. It's always good to have options, isn't it? Now then, let's move on to eyebrows, and I've got two pencils here again which I think are really, really close. I've got the Anastasia Brow Wiz, and this is in the shade Taupe, and I've got the Maybelline Express Brow in the shade Soft Brown. And these are very similar. They're both those micro fine nib eyebrow pencils with a spoolie on the other end. So you can see they're tiny, aren't they? Really, really thin. So let's just go through my eyebrow on the left side with the Anastasia one. Just very gentle, little feathery strokes just over my tattooed area. Had them done last year. Over there like that. See, I don't want anything too harsh. I want to keep them quite nice and soft, but just sharpen them up a little bit. There we go. And then on the other side, I'm going to go in with the Maybelline one in soft brown. Again, it's a very, very similar nib, isn't it? Let's go over this. Right. It's probably a little bit darker actually, this one, if I'm honest. But I like to always go through with the spoolie anyway, and that always lightens it up a little bit. What's that there? Let's go in a little bit more with that one. Okay, there we go. What do you think of the brows? Well, I mean, in terms of prices, the Maybelline brow pencil is £9.99, £9.99, and the Anastasia Brow Wiz is £23. So again, it's quite a difference, isn't it, for quite a similar look. Okay, now for eyeshadow primer, I'm going to use 2 eyeshadow sticks here, and the high-end one that I've got that I love, that you will have seen me use before if you've seen me before. If you haven't, hello, I'm Rebecca, lovely to meet you. I'm glad you found me. I'd love it if you'd subscribe. I get videos like this every week. Anyway, the pencil, the stick, the eyeshadow stick I was telling you about is this one by Vive. And I love these eyeshadow sticks. They're these lovely retractable ones. And this one in the shade Vanilla makes a perfect base for your eyeshadows. So let me just show you what I do with this on this left eye. I just apply it all over, and then with my ring finger, I'll blend it in like this. And it just gives you that lovely, smooth canvas, neutralizes any redness, any veins, anything like that. And I find it really does help my eyeshadows to last all day as well. And the one that I'm going to put this up against is the Maybelline Colour Tattoo 24-Hour Eye Sticks, it's called. And this one, the shade of this is, what's it called? It's called I Am Confident. Hey. Right, and again, very similar. So let's put this on the right eye. Okay, the shade is not completely exact, but it does the same job, you know. It keeps my eyeshadow on all day, and once my coloured products have gone on over this, you can't tell what shade this base was anyway. So I think they do a really, really similar job. And in terms of price, the Maybelline one is £8.99 and the Vive one is £25. So again, quite a big cost saving there. Now then, let's get on to the exciting part, shall we? Because I'm going to talk to you about eyeshadow next. And the high-end palette, it's a palette that I'm going to use, it's one of these little Natasha Denona minis, and it's the Mini Starlet palette. And this is one of my favourite of all these Natasha Denona minis. It's beautiful. The colours are beautiful, the quality of the shadows are beautiful, they're very soft and buttery and easy to blend, and I just absolutely love the colours in this Mini Starlet palette. Okay, now for the drugstore version, I couldn't find a palette that matched exactly. However, I've got a couple of singles and I've got another little palette, and between the three of them I can create a very similar look. Let me show you what they are. So the two singles, I've got a number 7 one in the shade Taupe. I've got a Kiko Milano one in the shade 30. Okay, so these two with this MUA from Superdrug palette, this is in the shade Neutral Wanderlust. These three products still cost less than this one Natasha Denona product, okay? So we are still saving money. Even though we've got 3 separate products, we are still saving money, all right? So let me show you how this Kiko shadow compares. I think this shadow compares with this end shade in the Natasha Denona palette. They, on the eye, you really can't tell the difference. And with the number 7 one, I think that this shade really compares well with the shade, that one there on the other end of this palette. On the eye, they're really, really similar. And the shade that I'm going to use from the MUA palette, these are like £4 from Superdrug, these palettes. I'm going to go into that shimmer shade there and that shimmer shade there in the Natasha Denona, very similar. I'm going to list them all down below. I know this is a lot to take in and remember, but I'm just going to show you the look that I get on my eyes so that you can see how similar they are, and all the products will be listed down below in the description. Okay, so firstly, I've got 2 of these brushes, one with a long handle, one with a short handle, but they're the same. They're the MAC 217s, because I want the brushes to be the same so that we can just, you know, for fairness, really. So firstly, I'm going to go in with the Kiko, this single shadow from Kiko in number 30 on the drugstore side, okay, on one of these MAC 217s. And I'm just going to run this through the socket, through the crease area. It's this lovely, it's like a mauvey purpley, it's not lilac, but it's like a browny mauvey, I don't know how to describe it, but it's a lovely colour. Again, if you've got green eyes, these shades would be very flattering on you. And I'm just going to go up to about there with that Kiko colour, okay? Now I'm going to swap my brush over and I'm going to go into this end colour here in the Natasha Denona palette. And you probably need to use a bit less of this because these shadows are more pigmented, they are, and they're smoother and they're more easy to blend. They are. But just in terms of the look that you can get on your eyes, I think it's quite similar. So yeah, already you can see that's a lot more pigmented, can't you? Let's just blend this in. Yeah, I probably picked up a bit too much product there. Yeah, there we go. And because I picked up too much product, I'm going to go back into this one with the other brush just to even it up a bit over here. Because the colour is so similar, it really is. I hope you can tell, I hope the camera is showing you how similar that colour is, but in real life, for me now, it looks like I've used the same eyeshadow, it really does. Okay, let's go on that one a little bit more, I think yeah, do that. Okay. Now then, let's go into the slightly darker purpley shade. So I'm going to go in with the number 7 on the same brush. And I'm just going to put some of this in that outer corner. Just to deepen it up and give me a bit more depth. Again, this is not as pigmented as the Natasha Denona, so you do have to build it up. Okay, right, now let's go in with the other brush, the other same brush, into this deeper shade in the Starlet palette, into the outer corner on my left eye. These Natasha shadows, I mean, I know for this palette it's £24, but if you want to treat yourself, I do think they're worth it, these Natasha Denona palettes. They're just so blendable and soft and creamy. The colours are beautiful, they work really well together. So yeah, I would say that these little palettes are worth it. And her middies as well, if you do like a larger size eyeshadow palette, I do think they're worth it. But as I say, just for the purposes of this video, I'm just showing you how similar you can get a look. Now then, with this MUA palette, I'm going to go into this shimmery shade here on my finger and just apply it on the lower lid in the inner corner, just going into the centre of my lid, just to give a little bit of a glow, a little bit of a highlight there. Tiny little bit of fallout, tiny little bit, not much at all. And then I'm going to go into the similar shade in the Natasha Denona palette here with the finger on my left hand. And just apply it in a very similar place, in a corner, going into the centre of the lid. A bit more, pick up a bit more. I'm not getting any fallout from this. Or am I? Not really. I mean, there was hardly any from the other side if I was just being really picky. But yeah, it's beautiful, isn't it? I think both sides are looking very similar. Okay. And I'm just going to go under my eyes now. I've got two of these slanted brushes for eyeliner. And I'm going to go in with this darker purpley number 7 shade on this side. Just gently run it underneath. Very, very gently. In that outer corner. Okay. And I'm going to go in with this one into the Natasha Denona palette, into that darker shade there at the end. And do the same thing on the other side. Okay. Nice, isn't it? Right. So there we are. That's all I'm going to do for eyeshadow. I think that's really nice. I am going to use eyeliner, and the eyeliners I've got, I would go as far as to say that they are dupes of each other. I really would. I've got one of the MAC Colour Excess gel, what's it called? Gel pencil eyeliner in the shade Skip the Waitlist. I've loved these MAC gel pencils for a long time, and this particular shade has been a favourite. But recently I've discovered the Sephora own brand 12-hour retractable pencils, okay? And what shade is this one? Shimmer Espresso, this one, okay? And these pencils to me are exactly the same. And I'm going to show you on the back of my hand. So they're both retractable. So if I just do it here in my mirror first. So that's the MAC one, that nice sort of bronzy brown colour. And the Sephora one, again, it's nice retractable, the same. So this one next to it on the back of my hand, that's the Sephora one. Now look at that, aren't they? I mean, they last just as well. They don't transfer up here. I just can't see any difference myself. So let's put some on. So I'm going to go on the right side with the Sephora own brand one. Let me tell you the price. Where did I write this? This Sephora eyeliner is £12.99. The MAC one is £22. £12.99, £22. Just watch this. Right. So I'm just going to hold my skin so it doesn't move around, because I'm 47 now and my eyes, I've got hooded eyes, as you can tell. So you have to just hold the skin so it doesn't move around. Eyelids have a life of their own when you get into your late 40s. I mean, you can probably relate if you're also in your late 40s or above. It can be a real challenge putting on your eye makeup. But you practice, there's certain little tips and tricks. And with practice, you know, it can all come together. I'm just going to do a little bit of tight lining underneath as well. There we go, just to thicken up that lash line. Yeah, there, that's all I wanted to do. I don't do anything crazy with my eyeliner. I don't do wings or flicks or anything. I just want to make my lash line look a bit thicker. So that's the Sephora brand one. Now let's move on to the MAC one on the left side, on the high-end side, and do the same thing again. So cross the lashes. They even feel the same, honestly. They even feel the same to hold. They feel the same going on. Right, and now a little tight line. Okay. Oh, what's that there? A little bit fell out. Okay. That's interesting. A little bit of the Sephora pencil I just noticed broke off. Okay, that's not great, is it? A little bit of that Sephora pencil, I don't know if you can see, it actually broke off as I was applying it there. I don't know if that's got anything to do with the heat. It has been really, really warm lately. But, I mean, I've been storing them together in the same drawer. I don't know. But, I mean, is that a big issue? Probably not, is it? You just flick it off and then you've got the rest of the thing. But that one is still all intact. So that's something to note. But in terms of what they look like on my eyeballs, I mean, would you be able to tell which is the drugstore and which is the high end? Not sure I'd be able to tell. Okay, now moving on to mascara. And again, I've got a couple of products here which I would say are dupes of each other. So the first one that I'm going to use is the Benefit Roller Lash. And one that I think is a dupe of it is the e.l.f. Lash and Roll. And you can tell by the packaging, can't you, that e.l.f. were going for this one. And the brushes look the same, the wands look the same. Let me just apply some of this to my left eye and you'll be able to see. So it's one of those rubbery, quite small ones. But I quite like that because it means you can get all the way into the base of your lashes. Give it a little wiggle there. All the way in and pull through. Okay. And because it is a nice, thin, small brush, I'm going to do a little bit on my bottom lashes as well. There. So that's the Benefit Roller Lash. And on this side, we're going to go in with the e.l.f. Lash and Roll. See, the brush looks the same, doesn't it? That plasticky, rubbery one. It's got a slight curve in it as well, same as the other one. So here we go. As you can see, I'm not curling my lashes today. I don't always. Don't know if I'm going out in the evening or if I've got a special occasion or something, I might. But generally, day to day, I don't bother doing that. Again, they went on very, very similarly. I mean, would you be able to tell which is Benefit and which is e.l.f.? Would you, honestly? Don't think I would. Right. Oh, I've not done my liquid blush. Now, when I did my blushes, I did the powder, didn't I? I did Nars on this side and Sephora brand on this side. Well, I intended to go over them with a couple of liquid blushes just to give me a bit more of a highlighty effect. And I've actually found a couple here which I think are very, very similar. I've got the small version of the Rare Beauty liquid blush in the shade Happy. And I think this is very, very similar to the e.l.f. What's this called? The e.l.f. Camo Liquid Blush by e.l.f. in the shade Cheeky Lychee. I think these on the cheeks look really, really similar. So let me show you. I've got two separate brushes as well that I'm going to blend these in with. So I'm going to take the Rare Beauty. This is the small size. They're really, really handy actually, these small sizes, if you're not sure if you're going to like something. So just a couple of dots there. Blend it in. There we go. And the e.l.f. this one, you have to be really careful with these. They are extremely pigmented. Just one dot with the other brush, like that. There we go. But the colour, the colour and the staying power, it's very, very similar. I hope you can see this as well as I can. Right, now on to lips. We're nearly finished. So where are my lip products? Here they are. So I'm going to use a lip liner first, and the two that I've got that I think are very similar is the Estée Lauder Double Wear lip pencil in the shade Rose, and I'm going to put that up against the e.l.f. Cream Glide lip liner in the shade Mauve Aside. Now let me just show you again how similar these are. So that's the Estée Lauder one, and this is the e.l.f. one. Very similar, aren't they? So I'm going to do the e.l.f. one on this side. we go. Lovely and creamy and smooth. It really does glide on beautifully. And the Estée Lauder double wear on this side. Okay, the colour's slightly different, but there's not much in it. And I'm going to go over that with, well, I'm going to keep it e.l.f. on this side. One of these, their stains, what's this called? I can't read it, but I'll list it below. It's one of these glossy stains that e.l.f. do. Power Mauves. Power Mauves is the shade of this. You can see the colour there in that little window. And I think this is very similar to the Chanel little lacquer, glossy lacquer colour that they do. Again, I'll put the shade down below. So let's try and do half and half with my lips, shall we? This is going to be interesting, isn't it? So do e.l.f. over here. Okay, that's e.l.f. And going to do the Chanel one over here. That's really hard doing half and half of your lips. But what do you think? Isn't that really similar? Now, setting sprays, we're not finished just yet, because I've got two setting sprays which I think are very similar too. I've got the Airbrush Flawless setting spray from Charlotte Tilbury. This is the small size one that she does. And I've got the Milani Make It Last Original. And they've both got a lovely fine spray mist, and I love both of them. So let me just show you this one on this side. I just did 3 sprays, and I'll do 3 sprays of this one just to make it all fair. Oh, I think I prefer this one actually. It seems to go on as more of a gentle mist. Right, so there you go, the finished look. We've got high-end and we've got drugstore, and I can tell you that this side of my face costs £140 and 3 pence, okay, in total with all those products. And this side of my face, no, I got that the wrong way around. Oh my goodness, right at the end of the video. This side of my face is £140 and 3 pence, okay? And this side of my face is £439 and 13 pence. That's a £299 difference. So, I mean, it's pretty much a £300 difference, isn't it, between this side and this side? Do you think the difference is £300? I certainly don't. Anyway, I really hope you've enjoyed that video. It was a really long one, so thank you for bearing with me. But yeah, I think this was really interesting. And I did this exact makeup look the other day, and I said to my husband, I told him how much one side costs compared with the other, and I asked him which side does he think is the more expensive side, and he really didn't know. He really said, I absolutely don't know. We went out in daylight, he didn't know. And when I forced him, I said, you have to pick a side. He picked the wrong one. He picked the drugstore side, thinking that was the more expensive. So it just goes to show, doesn't it? Anyway, thank you so much, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.